What is up, everybody? Bob Heilig here, your virtual upline and I am extremely excited to be here with all of you tonight. For our first time ever teaching this topic for free, we're going to be talking about weekly accountability meetings, or as we affectionately like to call them, WHAMs. And if you are not familiar with what a weekly accountability meeting is, this is going to be an incredibly important training for you. And I would just venture to guess that we probably have, we'll have quite a bit of people on here that are familiar with the concept. I promise tonight, as I always try to do, even if you're familiar with the concept, I'm going to give you a little bit of a different spin, hopefully some training and some that can help you with being more effective in the WHAMs that you already have in place. And I'm excited because at the end of the training tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you something that we're going to be doing that we've never done before, that is going to be specifically geared towards weekly accountability meetings. And those of you that are truly serious about this tool in your business, you're going to be really excited to hear what I have to share with you. So, but without further ado, because I do have quite a bit I'm going to share with you, and I see y'all already jumped the gun telling me where you're checking in from. So I see we've got people from all over the world, really, checking in here tonight or this morning, depending on where you are. So thanks for spending some time with me. I'm excited to share this information with you. But with that being said, I'd like to just go ahead and dive right into it here. So I've got a presentation that I put together that I'm going to be sharing with you. And the way that this is going to work is I'll go through the information that I have, and then at the end of tonight's presentation, we'll make sure that we leave some time for some questions. So if you have any questions about weekly accountability meetings, I'd love to be able to dive deep and try to help you get those answered. So let's go ahead and let's get the party started. So as I mentioned tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you something that we call a weekly accountability meeting, otherwise affectionately referred to as a WHAM. And I'll just say this. For those of you that are not familiar with this particular tool, I truly believe this is going to be one of the most important trainings that you're ever going to get in your career. Like, there is literally, I can't think of anything that I ever did in my business in terms of tools or systems, things that I implemented that had a bigger impact on me growing my team faster and helping more people rank, advance, and succeed. So in other words, WAMs are by far the best tool that you'll have for developing strong leaders so that you can have more time freedom in your business and in your life. And tonight I'm going to explain to you what a WAM is. And then I'm going to essentially answer 3 really important questions that I'll be sharing with you here momentarily. But I do want to give you a heads up. I made a pretty big deal about you attending live tonight. And I'm going to explain, I'll share with you why. So because you are here live, we're going to be rewarding you with a special bonus. And this is something that only you are going to get access to. No one else, if for those people that didn't get a chance to make it live, they're not going to have a chance to get this, but we've actually created a 1-page document. And this document essentially will walk you through step by step how to execute a WAM. So think of this as like a cheat sheet that you can print up and have right in front of you while you're doing your WAM. And it will literally just go over the exact flow of how a 30-minute WAM session is supposed to go. And we're going to give you this for free just because you're here tonight. Now, the only thing that you have to do is you got to stick around until we're done. At the end of the training tonight, I'm going to give you a link, and you're going to have until midnight Eastern Standard Time. So 4 hours from now, you'll have it to download this tool. You can instantly download it. You don't have to opt into anything. You just get it. But you're only going to have a chance to get it to midnight tonight. So make sure you stick around so that I can get this link to you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and before, I want to just share with you a couple of success stories, okay? I want to share with you a couple of success stories of students of ours that have already implemented WAMs in their business. They've gotten the coaching and support from us around this, but I want to just give you a glimpse as to what this can do for your business and your team. So Lacey, one of our students, shared that I had to share a win because I'm so blown away. I started my first WAM almost 2 weeks ago. I created 3 different groups of them, and between the 3 groups, there are that represents over half of my team's recruits. Now, this is the stuff that I love to hear. There are girls that haven't recruited in over a year that are bringing new team members in right and left. So let me ask you this. How many of you have ever found yourself thinking, man, what can I do to motivate my team? Well, WAMs, I believe, are going to be one of the most important tools. Next up, we have Heather. Heather shared that we just finished our first weekly accountability meeting. She literally did it exactly as I teach. And all I can say is, wow. This is the single most effective tool that you can use to ignite your team's momentum. So once again, if you've got a team, things are getting a little stagnant, you're feeling stuck, this can provide a jolt faster than you can even imagine. And then last but not least, we have Natalie. So Natalie said, I started my WAM meetings this month, and they were so much fun, and it built up so much connection between our groups. She goes on to share, we hit the highest volume we've ever had for July, and we've had tons of requalifications and rank advancement. So once again, if you're someone that you need to do a better job helping people rank, advance, and grow, this is going to be the tool for you. So let me share with you what I think the most important things that WAMs do for your business. So first and foremost, it's this. WAMs will help you over time create more consistent, sustainable growth. Think about this. How nice would it be? And yes, this is live and in person, by the way. Just somebody asked, are we live? How nice would it be if you didn't have to ride the roller coaster of up and down, up and down? What if you didn't have to stress out and live in anxiety every month, wondering about requalifying for your current rank? What if you could build with a more solid foundation with real leaders that didn't need their hands held, that went out and did it whether you did it or not? Like, that is possible if you begin to change the way that you lead people and the way that you work with people. But WAMs will put you on this path. How about this one? Helping you grow those strong independent leaders. Now, not only is that important in terms of your business results? Because look, just think about like working towards your goals and how much easier and how much more effortless it would be if you had one or two other people just like you out there helping you get there. Not only will you help achieving your goals faster, but here's the truth of it. If you can develop more leaders, you will change more lives. And here's what I know about you, most likely because you're here and you're a part of our community. Yes, you want to make money. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But you want to help people. See, our target, like the people that find their way to us, they're in this more than just making money. Nothing wrong with making money, but they want to help people. And I'm telling you, if you can fulfill your responsibility as a leader to help develop other leaders, the amount of lives that you will change through your business will be immeasurable. And that's a part of the legacy that we leave. And so WAMs provide an important step in that area. How about this one? How about more time freedom? How about as your team grew bigger, what if you had more and more free time? Now, some of you, that's so far beyond the construct of what you can even imagine because you've been operating from a flawed plan. The way that you've been working with the people on your team is actually, it's taking you further away from freedom, not closer to. Change the way you work with people, watch what begins to happen. This is an important one as well. How about growing in your own confidence and belief as a leader? Because WAMs are, when I say they're a leadership development tool, they're not just a tool for you to help develop other leaders. They're a tool to help develop you as a leader. See, one of the things that I found is a lot of people, they shy away from doing certain things in their business. And when it comes to leadership, right, having difficult conversations, holding people accountable, setting boundaries, having expectations, like all that tough love stuff that we kind of are afraid of, that we don't do because we feel like we don't want to screw it up or push people away. WAMs are a blueprint to teach you how to do that. And as you begin to step into that leader role, what will happen is you will begin to grow right in front of your own eyes, and the impact that will have on your ability to help others will be immeasurable. Your ability to grow personally determines your capacity to lead others. So WAMs are going to help you as well. And then one of the other things that I really love is WAMs create an incredible culture. See, when you can connect the right people in a meaningful way, and you get everybody on the same plan and the same message, the impact that has for your overall team is really powerful. If you have a negative culture, if there's lots of people that are complaining and they're negative and they're giving excuses, WAMs could be the thing that could be the tipping point to start to change that if you approach this the right way. So let's talk first about accountability, because one of the core things, and you can probably tell by the name, it's a weekly accountability meeting. And I know that there's probably lots of you that have had experience in the past with accountability, right? You've tried to do challenges or some different leadership type trainings. Here's what I have found is, and maybe even just working with individual people, we always have this thing like, we want to hold people accountable. Well, accountability is arguably one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of business and life. And here's the reason why. It is not your job to hold someone accountable. And as a matter of fact, it is impossible to hold someone accountable. Here's the reason why. The only form of accountability that actually exists is self-accountability. See, what we think is accountability, when we engage in a relationship with someone that is, we have to report to them every week about what we did or didn't do. If we're giving up our own power and we're looking to that person, thinking they're going to be the one that's going to make us successful and they're going to be the one that keeps us on track, right? What that really is it's you not taking responsibility and ownership of your business and life. See, that isn't accountability, it's consequences. Consequences can be effective short term, but long term, it won't matter because you'll always slip back into the same habits. So how many of you have had this experience where you're doing these coaching calls with your upline or mentor, and when you first start out the process, Or maybe you're in like an accountability group. When you first start out, you do well, and you actually, because you're afraid of that person, right, you do what you say you're going to do. That's consequences. But then eventually over time, you get more comfortable with them. You slip back into your old patterns, and now you're showing up every week, and you're just being like the same story and the same excuse, I didn't do it. See, it's because you're giving up your power. Look, it's not someone else's job to fix you. You can't hold someone accountable. They have to own that themselves. Now, here's the reason why most people struggle with this. Because this type of a business, we don't have a boss. And it's not something that we have to do. It's something that we choose to do. So, and the other part of it is this. Most people that do this, they've never really been in business, and they're not leaders, so they just don't understand this kind of stuff. Here's the reason why the WHAMs are so important. So WHAMs are a tool that creates the structure where it facilitates self-accountability. It teaches people how to take responsibility for their own success and ownership of their business. This was something that I just came up with in my business one day, because I was getting so frustrated watching good people that I knew had great potential just struggle, right? And it was like no matter what I did or said to them, it never seemed to make a difference. And it started to take its toll on me, because I'm like, well, maybe it's me. And then I started questioning, well, maybe it's the way that I'm working with them. And I just naturally started kind of organizing people in the way that I'm going to be teaching it tonight. And what I saw blew me away. I saw people literally transform right before my eyes in a matter of weeks, being a part of something like this. And a lot of you are going to see the same thing. But here's a question. When it comes to accountability, this is an important thing to understand. Why do so many people shy away from implementing this in their business? Well, here's the reason why I believe. Something that we call the relational roadblock in our business. Now, the ideal customer that we work with is somebody called an accidental leader. An accidental leader is somebody that has built a small team, mostly off of their own efforts. They got customers, they recruited people, and it's like you've created this level of results, but then you got totally stuck. And part of the reason why you got totally stuck is because the people that you were recruiting, they weren't able to duplicate your results. And now you've got this team, and you've got this long to-do list of things that you think you have to do every single week in order to maintain those results, and you're working really hard, but you're not making any progress. And a big part of it is you haven't stepped into the leader role in your business. See, the relational roadblock is it's when you lead from a place of fear, and you're not willing to lean in and challenge people and have the difficult conversations and really lead them, which, by the way, is what they need from you, okay? People that join your team, they may want a friend, and that's okay because relationships are important, but they need someone to lead them. Because if they knew how to do it on their own, they would have already done it, but they don't. That's why they're here. That's why they joined your business, because they don't know how to improve their life. They don't know how to get better. They have a desire, but they don't have the plan. Your job is to step in and influence and challenge and push them. And for a lot of accidental leaders, that's very uncomfortable. And here's the reason why. Because if we're leading from a place of fear, we call it a red light story. We will always need, in that moment of having that conversation with somebody, we will always need them to like us and accept us to feel better about ourselves. It comes from scarcity. And what I have seen happen over and over and over again is your unwillingness to lean into this and do these types of things because you're afraid you're going to push people away. But I'm telling you right now, it's the exact opposite. See, when you can lean into these types of things, when you can do things like implement a WHAM, when you can step up as a leader and start doing those types of things, you will not push people away, at least not the right people. You will draw them closer. And the reason why you will draw them closer is because you will help them get results that they could not get on their own. And in that moment, they will value you as an important person in their life. Now, I know all of that sounds scary, and you're like, well, Bob, how do I do it? Where do I start? What do I say? Well, welcome to WHAMs. It is literally a step-by-step plan to help you get past the relational roadblock and start leading people the way that you need to lead them. But WHAMs are based on this idea of working with people in small groups. So here's another big mistake that I see accidental leaders making. is that they spend the majority of their time working one-on-one with everybody on their team. And it's not to say that you don't need to do that. From time to time you do, but here's the problem. When you're working with everybody individually, all it winds up doing is sucking your time. And if you're honest with yourself, and if you look at how you're spending time with these people, most of the people you're investing time into are not doing very much with it. So in other words, you're giving them time, but they're not producing results. Now, I'm telling you right now, one of the reasons why is the way you're working with them. If all you did was take the handful of people that you work with every week and put them in a small group, and you input, it's not just putting them into a group, but it's the way you run it, you would instantly start to see people show up differently, and over time, you would see their results go through the roof. Here's the reason why. There are some big benefits to small group accountability. Number one is this. It instantly gives you more time freedom. Look, I just did a podcast episode a couple of weeks ago. The title of the episode was How to Save 5.5 Hours a Week in Your Business. And here's the basic concept or idea. Let's just imagine that you've got 6 different people that you're personally working with. That over the course of a week, you wind up spending about an hour with each of those people. And it may be a dedicated hour, maybe you're doing a coaching call or a strategy session, but it might just be these small little chunks of 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, half hour there, that over the course of a week, it adds up to an hour. And I want you to think about what you're doing during this time. You're giving coaching, you're giving advice, you're teaching, you're training, right? You're encouraging. Pay attention to how you pretty much are doing and saying the same thing to different people over and over and over again. So here's the simple concept. It's very basic, but it is true. Take those same 6 people that over the course of the week take 6 hours of your time, an hour with each person. Put them in a small group format like a WHAM and give them 30 minutes a week of your time. And you literally instantly just saved 5.5 hours of your time. Now, it might not be that much for you, but I promise you, you could instantly save time. How much would it be worth to you? Think about this. How much would it be worth to you to just have an hour or 2 of your time back every single week? That you could spend more with family and not feel guilty. That you could spend on yourself, right? Whether it's self-care or doing things that you just love to do and enjoy to do. How could the quality of your life be enriched if you could start buying your time back? This is a tool that will help you do that. It helps keep people on track and helps them focus on what's most important. So one of the biggest problems, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time tonight talking about this, but you follow me long enough and you start following me or you tune into me, you're going to hear me talking about this a lot from this point forward. The number one problem that people have in this profession is their business is too complicated. They've bought into the idea that success requires more. And so they talk to more people, they work with more people, they do more things, they spend more time, they create more content, they join more platforms. It's more. And what winds up happening is we just keep adding things onto our to-do list and to our plan, and we lose sight of the most important things. Look, success does not require more, at least sustainable success. Sustainable success only comes from doing less. The number one thing that you can do in your business this year is start doing less. Start saying no to people and things that are not contributing to your results or don't bring you happiness and joy. Start delegating things to other people and give them a chance to actually step up. And start automating some of the tasks and things of your business through tools, systems, and processes. But about what's most important, why we're really critical, is they are a discipline people do. It's a constant on what's most important, and it keeps people on track so they can start making real progress towards their goals. It also provides relational support. Look, the reality is this: the higher you go in your company, the more successful you become, the more alone you feel. Nobody wants to talk about this, but it's true. I'm going to tell you, some of the most lonely people that I meet and work with are some of the most successful. Because here's what happens. As you begin to rank, advance, and grow, you are less likely to bother your upline with your problems because you know they're busy and you just feel like you need to be able to figure it out on your own. You've got less people that you can talk to that actually understand where you are, because not everybody can relate to you as you become more successful. And what winds up happening is you wind up feeling really alone. And what I want you to recognize is this is happening on your team. Now you would think, but Bob, we have 23 Facebook groups that they're in. We do 16 Zoom calls every single month. Like my team is connected. No, they're not. People have never felt more alone, and we are as connected as a society as we ever been. But a lot of leaders, they mistake technology and social media for real connection. It isn't. You have to facilitate this on your team. And WAMs are a way for you to do that. You create an environment for people to connect in this, look, WAMs are a sacred space. It is a space where you can show up and be yourself. You can be authentic. You can be vulnerable. And the connections that are formed, they will last a lifetime. Like, I'll have some students of mine, they'll be like, Bob, I've formed stronger relationships. I even had somebody sideline. I formed relationships with people that are my closest friends in the company that I never would have even met had it not been for a WAM. You can create that on your team. Look, people will quit a company, but they won't quit a friend. That's one of the values of a WAM, is it helps you retain people, right? And then the other thing is this. It makes it easier to have difficult conversations. So think about this. Confronting, if you're doing one-on-one coaching calls with someone, over time, you get into this kind of groove where it becomes hard for you to have a difficult conversation, to call them out, to confront them, because you have a relationship with them. See, the benefits of a small group is you can have one or two people that are doing something that you want to confront them on, that it may be hard for you to say to them directly, but when they're in a group of 5, 6, 7, 10 people, you can say what you want to say to them, to the entire group, without singling out any one person. And trust me when I tell you, they will receive the message. So it's way easier to bring up, so it helps you in terms of your coaching and your leadership. Okay, but let's get into some of the details of WAM. So when it comes to small group coaching, WAMs are the way that you do that. It is a tool for conducting small group coaching. It is heavily focused on two things: accountability and execution. Think of WAMs as no excuses, no complaining, no negativity. It is get the work done, and it is focus what's on important, and it is a motivational tool for leadership. It is a proven, repeatable format that I'm telling you right now. People are like, Bob, yeah, but I sell that. I don't care what your product is. I don't care what your compensation plan is, what your business model is. WAMs will revolutionize your business. It works for any type of a business structure. Now, I'm going to answer 3 important questions here tonight. Number 1 is, who do you invite? Number 2 is, how do you invite? And number 3, what do you actually do on a WAM? Now, I'm going to be going high level on the what do you do for a WAM, and I'm going to explain to you why. But I'll say to you this. If you do any of these 3 things wrong, or if you miss any of these 3 things, your chances of successfully implementing a WAM go down dramatically. Now, I want to say this. For those of you that are already running WAMs, weekly accountability meetings is what it stands for. If you joined late, that's what a WAM is. It's a weekly accountability meeting. For those of you that are running WAMs, and if you're struggling with it, it might be because you did one of these 3 things wrong. But I will tell you this. You're going to want to make sure that you listen to what I have to share with you at the end of this training today, because I'm just going to plant a little seed here. We're doing something we've never, ever done before. And I'll just say to you this. If you're running a WAM or you want to implement a WAM, I'm going to give you the ability to work with me, helping you implement and master the WAM, getting coaching and training from me while you're doing your WAMs, something we've never done before, but I'm super excited to share with you. So I'll share with you at the end here. But who do you invite to a WAM? Now, the success or failure of a WAM will mostly be determined by who you invite. Look, WAMs are not for everyone, and they're right. So, if you got a WAM that's just dead and it's not working, it might be because you just don't have the right people on there. And sometimes people get really excited and they want to try to make a WAM work, but they don't have the right people on there. So over time, you'll start to learn who they are. But here's the general rule of thumb. WHAMs are designed for the committed people on your team. Now, how do we know who the committed people are? It's pretty easy to measure commitment. Do not listen to what people say. Watch what they do. Commitment is measured through actions, not words. Now, how do we measure commitment? Well, here's a very easy way. Rank advancements. Like if somebody has achieved at least the first or second rank of your compensation plan, which in most companies, we're not asking people to do anything that's really that extraordinary. Like if you're in and you're coachable and you're doing the work, you can probably hit the first or second rank in a reasonable amount of time. Like as a leader, you know someone's committed if they're rank advancing and if their business is growing. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are showing through their actions that they're committed. Listen, it's not fair for you to commit to someone else's business if they're not willing to commit to their own. Now, you might have a new person that's working and hasn't quite done that yet, and there's somebody that you definitely would support one-on-one, especially if you sponsored them, but they're not ready for a WHAM until they reach some minimum level of achievement. You get to decide, is it the first rank, is it the second rank? See, WHAMs are a form of recognition. Like when I have a conversation with you about a WHAM, it's like, look, you earned the right to be in this group because of what you've shown me through your actions and through your commitment. If you just put anybody into the group, it doesn't feel as special. So we need to have something. Now, a couple of questions. And Elaine jumped the gun on this. Cue me up, Elaine. What if you don't have anybody on your team that's rank advanced? Well, you could use the WHAM. So the beauty of the WHAM concept is this. Is you can use modified versions of it in different ways in your business. So let's say you have a handful of new people that you just recruited that you want to, like, you're like, well, if I could work with these people in group, I know that there's a benefit to that. So maybe I could put them together in a kind of pseudo WHAM format. Once you have the actual blueprint, you'll know how to do that. I give you advice like, here are some other scenarios of how you could run a modified WHAM, right? So there's different ways you could do it. Now, one of the questions might be this. What if I have no one on my team at all? Well, guess what? Here's the beauty of a WHAM. You could take the WHAM kind of format, you could bring it to your upline and say, hey, would you be willing to run this? So if you don't have anybody on your team, then you need a WHAM. You need to be a part of a WHAM to keep you on track, to help you go out and create the results. So you can bring it to your upline and help them implement it. You could go to sideline people that are in your company. I've done WHAMs before with people that weren't even in my downline, and we just wanted to keep each other accountable and keep each other on track. Now, if you're somebody that falls into that category and you're looking for a WHAM, then you're going to want to stick around to the end of the training tonight because I have something that I'm going to share with you that could be pretty important for you to hear. So, general rule of thumb, here's what it is. You do not want to invite more than 10 to 15 people, and do your best to group them around some kind of common rank. Now, I'll share with you my story real quick. So at the peak of my business, I had 3 WHAMs. I had a lower level WHAM, which were like, people that achieved like the first, second, third rank, that were pushing for the first real leadership rank in my comp plan, right? So these are people, they're making, a couple $100, $500, maybe $1,000. They were trying to get to that first real level, right? That like leadership rank that when somebody hits it, you're like, man, they're serious. I had a second WHAM, which by the way, the WHAMs are 30 minutes. So I literally had one night where I ran 2 WHAMs back to back in the span of 1 hour. Okay. My second WHAM was people that were a little bit more advanced, right? Kind of in that middle ground, but stuck. Like a lot of people get stuck and they struggle there. And then my third WHAM, because I had a pretty big team, when I was at my peak, I had a WHAM with like my top leaders that were kind of at or around me. And that was it. And I'm telling you right now, in the 90 minutes a week that I committed to WHAMs, I was pouring into so there's 20, like between 40 and 50 people a week. I was pouring into, and those 40 to 50 people per week were going out and pouring into tens of thousands because of the 90 minutes that I was spending. It was the most leveraged, important time that I ever spent in my business. And you'll find the exact same thing. So now if you're somebody that's here and you have a little bit of a larger team, I'll help you be strategic about how you implement the WHAM. Because my recommendation is you start with one WHAM, you get your feet under yourself, you learn how to do it, and then you can start breaking it off into other parts of your team. The beauty of a WHAM is it can be duplicated. It is a tool, it is a system, it is step by step. So you can have somebody take a WHAM on your team and go do it with their team. So like we have some of our higher level leaders, they have half a dozen WAMs running. Now, imagine how exciting this would be. Imagine how exciting it would be if you had a half dozen WAMs running in your business every week and you were not doing any of them. That's the power of having clear systems and tools. That's what we're going to teach you how to do. Now, the next thing is this. How do you invite? So this is also very important. So I'll say this, if you do this wrong, you are setting yourself up for failure before you even begin. See, the invitation to a WAM needs to be done in a specific way. You've got to make this a big deal. And it has to be done live, right? You can't post in your group, hey, we're doing this thing, you should join. You can't send somebody a message or a DM. You got to do it live because it's important. And what we teach inside of, we have a program called the WAM Mastery Course, which I'm going to make available at the end of this training. You're going to learn how you can get access to this for any of you that are interested, where I literally walk you through word for word exactly what to say in the enrollment conversation, and we take you through every other step of implementing and running WAMs. But here's the gist of the enrollment conversation. It's very clearly defined, and it is based in expectations and boundaries, okay? Now, that last word, I'm just going to guess if you resonate with the accidental leader conversation, this is a topic that you probably struggle with, setting boundaries. See, an enrollment conversation essentially sets the boundaries and expectations for somebody being on the WAM. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. So what they'll tell me is they're like, Bob, I did a WAM, I invited my people, and it's completely dead. People are not showing up. They're not taking it seriously. And then when I ask them and I give them some coaching, I find out they never had an enrollment conversation. Not the way that we teach. And I say, well, that's your problem, because the enrollment conversation, the way you invite someone actually creates the value for them being a part of their group. And if this is missing, people just won't take it seriously because they won't really understand what it actually is. Now, there are some basic elements that I'm going to just walk you through to give you a sense of how this conversation flows. And then once again, we have an entire training program that will show you word for word what to say. So the first thing, imagine the enrollment conversation like this. Let's say I want to invite Julia. She's qualified based off of the qualifications that I set. And I want to, I say, Julia, hey, can we set up a time? I want to talk to you. I've got something exciting I want to share with you. Julia and I set up a time. We hop on Zoom. And I say, hey, Julia, listen, so here's the deal. Before I get into what I want to talk to you about, I just want to first and foremost let you know that the only reason we're having this conversation is because I recognize what you've been doing in your business. And I just want to let you know how grateful I am that you're a part of my team and how proud I am of what you've been doing. You're a leader. Like, I really value what you've done. So I'm really making them feel good. I'm lifting them up, and I'm letting them know that's one of the reasons why we're talking today. Now, here's the reason why I want to talk to you is I'm about to launch this very special, intimate group of people like you, the most committed people on our team. And it's an accountability group that I am going to pour into to help you reach your goals even faster. Now, I get into next explaining the WAM guidelines and expectations. So I go through, I'm not going to go through all these right now because they're pretty detailed. And this is something, if you're interested, you can get access to in the actual program. I'll share with you at the end of the training. But I go through the guidelines and the expectations. Now, here's the deal. A big part of this conversation is not just inviting them. It's clearly spelling out what they are going to need to do in order to be a part of the group and letting them know that if at any point they're not willing to do these things or they violate the guidelines, that they will be asked to not be a part of the group anymore. Now, here's what's interesting. And I want you to listen very closely because this is a really important concept. That which seems scarce immediately becomes more valuable. I'm going to say that again. That which seems scarce immediately becomes more valuable. See, if I make them feel like being a part of this is something that is a true honor, but that if they don't show up and do the work, that they're going to lose it as quick as they got it, I'm telling you right now, they will treat it as such and they will step up. Now, if they get in and they don't step up, that's okay because that's part of the deal. But the chances of them stepping up and actually doing it are so much greater if you have the conversation the right way. So I have that conversation. We come to this mutual agreement, and then I get them excited about the transformation. See, this is something that people also forget. Like, we just concentrate so much on the bad, like on the tough stuff. We forget to get them excited about why they're here. WAMs are a tool to help them transform their business and their life. So I get them thinking, man, imagine you hitting your goal so much faster. Imagine you getting your team that you've always wanted. Imagine you having confidence, right? I truly sell what's waiting for them on the other side of the process. And then the last step is I get their buy-in, and I say, look, given everything we've talked about, you tell me, do you want to be a part of the group? And if the answer is yes, then I say, great, then they're a part of the group. But I also let them know this. It's okay if the answer is no. Because one of the interesting things about an enrollment conversation is this. You will be surprised at sometimes what people respond. So I like to say it like this. The process of inviting people to a WAM will help you get clear on their true level of commitment. There are going to be people that you think for sure are going to want to be a part of this group, that you thought for sure were one of your best leaders, that will basically say to you, I'm not at a place in my life where I'm ready to do this. And that it's not right or wrong, but here's the truth is you'll get really clear on the reality of your team. And sometimes that's hard to accept, but the sooner you can accept the reality, the faster you can get on track to where you actually want to go. And then the beauty of a WAM is this. They create a boundary so that you know if someone is on the WAM, they are one of your priorities in terms of your leadership. If somebody's not on a WAM, if you gave them an opportunity to be on the WAM and then they said, no, I don't want to, guess what? They don't get to monopolize your time anymore because they made a choice not to commit to their own business, so I'm not going to commit to your success anymore. Now, I'm not going to say it in a way that makes them feel wrong, but I'm just going to be straight up honest with them. Like, I just need you to know if you're not a part of this group, you're not going to be a priority in terms of my leadership and my support. Right? And so think of the boundary that creates. Look, I want to go back to what I said earlier. And please hear me closely when I say this. Your goal should not be to work with more people. It should be to work with less people in a more quality way. That's how you build a dynasty in this profession. That's how you build a business that gives you true time freedom. And WAMs are the quality way that you work with less people. It gives you leverage. The last thing that we're going to talk about is this. What do you do on a WAM? Now, what I want you to realize is this, because there's a lot of you that probably are thinking, I've done things like this before, right? People are like, Bob, I've done accountability challenges, or we do leadership trainings where we pour into our best people. And I'm not saying that stuff isn't bad, it's okay. But here's the problem. Accountability challenges are usually way too big, and they're impersonal, and they're not done in a manner which they really tap into the power of self-accountability. So people just don't get what they need out of it. They just feel like they're a part of a group. Okay, or they're too long and they lose steam because you're asking people to take this level of activity that's not sustainable. Okay, but the other thing is this: if your trainings are information focused, then you're not serving people, because guess what? People don't need more information and training. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The people on your team do not need more information and more training from you. Here's what they need. They need real connection, they need accountability, and they need execution support. They need somebody that can hold them to the fire to be taking action on what you already know. That's what a WAM does, is it cuts through the clutter. It gives them permission to do less. It gets rid of their overwhelm. It gets them laser focused on just a handful of things. And what that will do for their business is immeasurable. Now, what are those handful of things? Well, here's the foundational things that we do in a WAM. So WAMs are based on, they're run in 90-day increments. And along with the actual weekly format of a WAM, we build in these 90-day goal achievement plans. So what we're doing is we're helping people get clarity around goals, 90-day business goals, because that's the first step to goal achievement. You got to have a clear goal. Now, inside of the WHAM, what we do is we help them measure and track progress, which I'll talk about a second. But here's one of the big shifts. Most of the people that struggle, and if I bet many of you are one of these people, most of the people that struggle, like they set goals, and that's fine. We always know where we want to be, but we always feel bad about our goals, and we're always feeling like just negative around the idea of working towards our goals, because here's what we do. We define success as the achievement of the goal. And what winds up happening is if achieving the goal, it means you're successful, what you're also saying to yourself is that when you hit your goal, you'll be more worthy and you'll be good enough. That's a subconscious thing that most people don't understand. But if success is the goal, if success is the result, here's what we're going to constantly do. No matter where we are, no matter how much we see progress or growth, we're always going to focus on the gap between where we are and where we want to go. Right? Yeah. Terry Hitt, great book called The Gap in the Game. And it perfectly captures this concept. If you're somebody that feels exhausted working towards your goals, it's because you're focusing on the gap. If you're somebody that's inconsistent, you're inconsistent because you're focusing on the results of the actions that you're taking. And when the results aren't coming in, you get discouraged. Now, here's this. We teach a framework called Love, Serve, Grow. And WHAMs are a critical component of instilling this mindset in people. And here's the thing that we teach. We have these 90-day frameworks where we teach people that success is not a result and success is not a destination. Success is progress and growth. Success isn't achievement. They're two different things. You achieve a goal. Success is a feeling. What's interesting is this. Most of the accidental leaders that I work with, no matter what they achieve, they never feel successful. And you want to know why they never feel successful? Because every goal we achieve, we just keep pushing that next goal further out on the horizon. See, inside of WHAMs and inside of this thing we call Love, Serve, Grow, we talk about success as progress and growth. So every single week, what we're doing is we're reminding people of that. We're helping them count their small wins. We're basically helping them unlearn most of what they've been taught by everyone else in this profession, that success is the result, success is the goal, and we get them focused on progress and growth. And guess what happens? Inside of the WHAM, they begin to feel better about themselves. They start to feel more successful. You don't need a result to feel successful. All it is a shift in your thinking. Now, all of this happens inside of the framework of a WHAM. Here's the other thing that happens. So let me do this first. The conventional wisdom and what everybody teaches in this profession is this. I heard this the first day I joined my business. The secret to success is focus on the income-producing activities. IPAs, right? And you've probably been told as well. IPAs, income-producing activities. Now, as a whole, it's not bad advice, because what you're basically telling people is just focus on the most important things. But here's the problem. An income-producing activity is tying your expectation to the results. So think about that. It's basically saying, I'm only going to take these actions because I believe it's going to produce income. Now, when that's the case, we wind up doing things only as far as to the point where we don't see the results and we get discouraged, right? Because we have an expectation. So it's like, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing my IPAs, but I'm not seeing results, so I must be doing something wrong. See, we teach something totally different. We teach something called GOAs. We came up with a concept called growth-oriented actions, it should actually say. A growth-oriented action is basically you saying, I am going to identify the handful of things that I can do in my business that are going to help me personally grow. The expectation is not the result. The expectation is my growth and progress that comes from me taking the actions. This will instantly get people to feel different about themselves and their business. Now, inside of WHAMs, this becomes a core concept, how we're helping people identify what these are. And by the way, Every 90 days, your GOAs can change. So it's like this thing that just continues to take on a life of its own as your business grows. You're reevaluating goals, right? You're setting new GOAs for yourself. It's this beautiful thing that just continues to work cyclically in somebody's professional journey. Once we identify the GOAs, we have the goal. Now we set something called a minimum baseline. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a second. And then the fourth thing that we do is we measure and track progress. So I'm going to clarify the last two because they're important. First thing is this, minimum baseline. This is a really important concept for a WAM. Look, I did a podcast on this, another last week, shameless podcast plug, that the why starting small is so important for success, sustainable success. So what we do inside of a WAM is we have somebody identify their GOAs and then set a minimum baseline for each. The minimum baseline is this. What is the minimum level of activity that you can commit to for that thing? Now, I'm going to just tell you this right now. A huge mistake that people make when it comes to accountability is they'll do something like this. Okay, I'm not prospecting anybody, and I join this massive action plan. 30 days, we're going to recruit 20 people. You're going to talk to 25 people a day. We set this bar that's so incredibly high. And all we do is we set people up for failure. It's not doable. It's not sustainable. And even if it is sustainable, we completely sacrifice the quality of the actions for the quantity that we take just to check a box and say, I did it. And that's not serving you, and it's not serving the people you're talking to. See, a minimum baseline, an appropriate minimum baseline for me, if I'm prospecting no one, is one person a day. One person a day. Now, you might say, well, Bob, they're not going to hit their goals talking to one person a day. I say, well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Well, I can tell you this, it's better than 0 people per day. See, a minimum baseline is you need to set a goal that is doable for people. Because here's what begins to happen. If they have the clarity to know that this is one of the things that I should focus on, and they set a goal that they know they can do, guess what? They will be much more likely to follow through and do it. We had one of our students, Genevieve. We taught this concept to her, minimum baseline. Do less, identify your GOAs. She came into our program saying, I, on average, recruit 2 people a year. For 5 years, that was it, 2 people a year. She goes, in the last 7 days, I recruited 2 people. And she goes, here's what's beautiful about that. She goes, for the first time in over a year, I consistently prospected every single day. And I got that result. She goes, you want to know why? Because I gave myself permission to just do this. And I set a goal for myself that I knew I could do. That's the power of a minimum baseline. Now, here's what happens. Inside of a WAN format, we teach you how to help people set minimum baselines and manage it over time. Because minimum baselines don't stay the same. Over time, we're tracking it, we're monitoring it, we're helping people reassess. This is one of those metrics that becomes really, really important. And here's the reason why it's important. The WAM process, and specifically the minimum baseline, teaches people how to honor their commitments and build trust with themselves. Look, most people don't trust themselves when it comes to their business. They've set and broken promises to themselves over and over and over again. They just don't believe that they can do it. See, when you can set people up for small wins and you create an environment that celebrates those things over and over and over again, you watch what it does for people's confidence and people's belief. The next big thing that we do on a WAM is we track their advancement towards their goals. So we actually help you, and this is something that we do in the program. We help you set a goal, a 90-day goal, and we help you create a tool, a form, so every single week you can be tracking your progress towards your stated goal. Here's an example of what one looks like. We have dozens and dozens of examples from all different companies, but imagine this. Imagine once per week, you have to go into your back office and you have to fill out a sheet that's basically charting your progress towards your goal. See, this is important because it's transparency. Most people, especially accidental leaders, you ask them at any point in time where they are in relation to their goal, they all look at you like you have 3 heads. They're not thinking like a business owner. They don't know their numbers. One of my early mentors said something to me. It stuck with me. He said, Bob, you don't know your numbers. You don't know your business. I can guarantee you one thing. There's not a single person in your company that isn't at the very top levels that hasn't obsessed over their numbers since very early in their business. This is what business owners do. But most accidental leaders, they never thought about business. So it's not your fault, but you have to create an environment and you have to give people the direction to know what numbers to pay attention to. So every week we're filling this sheet out. We're working where that's providing us the necessary keep out doing the work, and then we're tracking their activity numbers, and it's this beautifully scripted thing that it all works together in perfect unison, and the transformation that you will see from people is unbelievable. The last thing I'll say about WAMs is this. As you're running your WAM, okay, so like the easy part is inviting people and setting it up. The hard part is running it every week and handling the things that come up as a leader. See, the way that you embrace your role in the WAM, that ultimately is what creates transformation. Because here's what's going to happen. People will not show up for a meeting and they won't tell you. They won't fill out their sheets. They will cancel on you consistently. They'll be negative. They'll be disruptive. They won't hit their minimum baseline and they won't even try. It's not if these things come up, it's when. Now, how you handle these things as a leader is crucial. All of these things that you've probably shied away from in your past are opportunities that you missed to help people transform and grow. See, the WAM, the beauty of it is because there's clear boundaries and because there's these set expectations, when somebody violates it, what it really is to you is it's a sign. It's a sign. Like, you may think not sending a form in is something small. It's not something small. It is a symptom of a much bigger problem. They're just not making their business a priority. And look, if they don't want to, then that's fine. The sooner I can know that, the better, because I'll just spend time with other people. But why this is powerful is a lot of times they do things that they don't even realize. So you now have the ability to identify these problems and confront them. The way you confront them, very important. We teach an approach called the carefrontational approach. And inside of the WAM program, we literally spell this out word for word how to do it with you. But here's the thing. I know that this is one of the biggest missing pieces for most of you. Like, inside of our programs, we get so many questions. Hey, Bob, this happened on a WAM. How do I handle it? How do I deal with this? Here's where I want to be able to help you with this thing that we're going to be doing. So let me go ahead and let me share that with you so that we can get into the questions and that we can get into, I'll share with you the link to get your free resource for tonight. But here's my question. How many of you would like to work with me to deep dive into WAMs and really help you master this tool in your business? If the answer is yes, whether you're somebody that hasn't implemented yet, the sooner you can get this, the better, or you're somebody that's been running them consistently, I've got something I want to share with you. I am so excited for this. We're going to be doing something called a 30-day WAM bootcamp. It's going to start on March 1st, and it is a immersive coaching, collaboration, and accountability workshop to give you the confidence that you need to implement these like a pro. So inside of this boot camp, we are going to give you the structure for personal accountability, coaching, and implementation support. All you have to do to check it out, I'll give you the link right now because I know some of you have to hop off. yourvirtualupline.com/bootcamp. Now, if you don't hop off yet if you can't, because I haven't given you the link to the free resource. I'm going to do that in a second. And it's only going to be good to midnight tonight, so you're going to miss the free resource. So just hang with me for like 5 more minutes. I promise I'll get through this pretty quick. But let me tell you about the WAM Bootcamp. So the WAM Bootcamp, okay, here's what you're going to get. First thing is this. You get the actual WAM program. So the WAM Mastery Program, it's 4 trainings that walk you through step by step exactly how to set up and run your WAMs. So all the things that I covered, who do you invite? How do you invite them? The technology of setting it up, all of the tools and documents you need to have the enrollment conversation, to run your WAM every single week and handle issues as they come up. Now, this program retails for $300. So you get this program lifetime access. The next thing you get is this. You get live weekly coaching and training and support from me. So imagine this. We're going to set up a private Facebook group only for this particular community. And every week I am going to do training and I am going to do live coaching only on the topic of WAMs. This is the immersive experience. And get this. We are going to group you up into your own WAM. This I could not be more excited about. We've never done this before. When you join this program, okay, and by the way, the coaching and the support alone is worth $497. Imagine having me as your personal coach for a month. But get this. When you join, we're going to have you answer some questions. What we're basically trying to find out is, where are you in your business? What level are you at? And we are going to facilitate you with a group of